This is a 2-pack of European plug, EU plug, USB-C and USB-A travel adapters. I was sent these to review for free. If you wanted to purchase them, they would cost you $16 for the 2-pack. They haven't paid me for my review, and my opinions remain my own. So each adapter comes packaged in a plastic bag, and as promised, they are European plug adapters. They have a USB-C power delivery port and a USB-A marked 3.0. I'm not sure if that's Quick Charge 3.0, but basically it's advertised as a 20-watt power adapter, so I think you can basically assume you can get 20 watts out of either of these ports, but not, 20 out of each at the same time. So the input here is universal, so it's 100 to 240 volt 5060. So with a US adapter, you could, adapt this thing to plug into a US plug, and it's rated to work on US current. But it's really designed, you buy this thing, you go to Europe, and then you don't need a European to US adapter, and you can charge your USB devices with it. According to the specifications on the outside here, this is a quick charge outlet here, and the USB-A output can be 5 volts at 3 amps, 9 volts at 2 amps, or 12 volts at 1.5 amps. Now the power delivery output is 5 volts at 3 amps, 9 volts at 2.2 amps, and 12 volts at 1.67 amps. So max voltage here is 12 volts, so there may be things like laptops that require the 20 volt output level. This won't charge, but as a 20 watt adapter, 12 volts is a pretty good top end voltage for a 20 watt adapter. So let's go check out these cables and adapters, make sure they can really produce the 20 watts they claim they can. So each of these adapters comes with this cable, and it has a nice little Velcro cable management wrap, and this guy's pretty long here. This is longer than 6 feet. So this is 9. So this is a 10-foot cable, and that is a long cable. So you can plug this guy in, pretty far away from your seat at the airport, and snake this cable quite a ways to get to you. That's actually, I think that cable's a little longer than you typically want, but it gives you lots of flexibility, and with this Velcro strap, you can always roll parts of it up and keep it Velcroed together. So let's plug this guy in to a USB power delivery load. And it is negotiating power. I saw it negotiate voltage there for a second. So for some reason, having this meter in between the power adapter and my output was causing problems. I've never actually seen that cause problems with any other power adapter before, but it is definitely doing it. So let's try a different meter. Alright, I'm using a different USB power meter, which I've never had problems with before. It's trying to negotiate power delivery, and there it's working. So 11.6 volts at 1.61 amps. So it's rated at 12 volts at 1.67 amps, and so this is 18.9 watts. So it is getting close to, but not up to, the 20 watt output. Now with a 10-foot cable, the voltage drop there is probably due to this long 10-foot cable. I'm going to substitute in a short cable just to see if this voltage goes up a little bit. Okay, I have a 1-foot USB-C cable here. It's delivering 11.9 volts at 1.61 amps, which is 19.3 watts. So the provided 10-foot cable had a voltage drop of about 0.4 volts, and so you can get just a tiny bit more power through a shorter cable just because you don't have as much voltage drop, as much resistance through the long cable. So it is pretty darn close to the 20 watt rating here. It's 19.x watts. So I'm going to give them that yes, it is a 20 watt USB-C power delivery adapter. Now I have never had a device refuse to work with this power meter in between it and the load. So that's kind of weird, but since most people won't be using a power meter between this guy and the load, and it is working with my other power meter and it's producing the power it says it does, I'm going to say that's an issue with the meter more than the device. Now I want to test this 10-foot cable that's provided with it independently of the power adapter. So I have a high power 100 watt adapter here, and this cable is working fine at 20 volts. It's delivering 2.9 amps, so this is a 3 amp cable. And if you have a higher power adapter, it can do up to 60 watts on this cable. Now, with this power adapter here, it'll only go up to 20 watts. The highest rating on this guy, amperage-wise, is 3 amps at 5 volts. And this cable will do 3 amps, or 2.95 amps, which is about what most 3 amp cables do. So this cable is appropriate in the amp capacity to be paired with this adapter. Alright, now I'm testing the USB-A output. By default, it gives 5 volts. I'm going to turn on this load, and the load is set to 3 amps. So it is able to provide 4.81 volts at 3 amps, so it is able to meet the 15 watt, that's the 3 amp at 5 volt specifications on the USB-A port here. Now, provided with the power adapter is a USB-C to C cable, you'll have to provide your own USB-A cable if you want to use the USB-A port. This is supposed to be a quick charge capable USB-A port, and so it should be able to negotiate to higher voltages. This guy has negotiated up to 9 volts, so it does negotiate at least up to 9 volts. I've never seen it hit 12 volts, but it can go with a quick charge 3 up to 9 volts. Okay, so this little guy here has a European plug. It will deliver 20 watts out of USB-C power delivery up to 12 volt level. I've seen this USB 3.0 USB-A port, the Quick Charge 3.0. I've seen it go up to 9 volts. I haven't seen it deliver 12 volts, but it claims it can do that if you have the right sync of power. These two ports are not independent, so the 20 watts is shared amongst them. And if you plug in a 5 volt load down here, the power delivery port's going to drop down to 5 volts too, so that's going to slow down charging for both devices. So you can charge two devices at once if they both are able to charge at 5 volts. But my recommendation here is to use one port or the other port if you want your fastest charging out of it.